Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Thursday, the 19th of August. Today wraps up my four-part sort of conversation about how must the church change with the sixth and seventh questions off the questionnaire that I've sent out to folks. Number 6 is, what do you need or what would you like of the church, local or broader Christian community, as we move into the future? And number 7, what role should our local church play in the communities of Wainwright and Edgerton? What do you need or what would you like of the church, local or broader Christian community, as we move into the future? I think when I talk about local, I am of course talking about my own parish or from my own parishioners. What would you like of or need of St. Thomas or St. Mary's? But local can also recognize the ecumenical nature of our town. I'm trying to schedule a meeting with the ministers of other Christian organizations here in Wainwright and the Edgerton area for the beginning of September, just to sort of see if we can't regroup after COVID and figure out who we might be as a ministerial. I have always really liked working with other ecumenical partners because, when you've got a little small church, a small congregation, there's a limit to what you can do. And your energy levels can kind of can kind of start to flag if you try to do everything yourself. But if we can support one another and work together, either work together on things or complement. So if one person does like a food cupboard and somebody else does clothing trade-ins and somebody else does, something else, then we can all figure out who do we refer one another to and how can we work those things together and not duplicate services. How can we figure out ways to worship together maybe, or decide how we are going to serve our community, serve Christ in the community, rather than sort of competing with each other. So for me, local doesn't just mean the parish, but it means the ecumenical group as well. And the broader Christian community, I think of in terms of like the diocese or the other ways that we might work together. I think in this case, it's been so easy, I think, for many small churches to sort of, especially the rural churches, to get disconnected from the diocese and look at, oh, that's Edmonton. That decision was made in Edmonton. And that's important because Edmonton does make decisions that impact us. But Edmonton also needs to have a relationship with us here in Wainwright and Edgerton, so they understand who we are, what we need, but also what we have to offer and how we fit into the family. It is not an us versus them. It is very much a we. So the we parish needs to be included in the we diocese, working together. So that question of what do you need or what would you like of the church as we move into the future? For me, I think I really do hope that means that what I would hope for the church, what I need of the church, is so building relationships with other other Christian denominations or other faith groups if we have them in this area. I don't know of any Muslim or Jewish groups or anything else, but if they're out there, I'd love to connect with them and find out how we can interact with one another and support each other within the community, especially within the ND of Wainwright. But also, how do we connect and share the wealth of experience and energy and excitement and dreams that we have out here in the eastern part of the diocese with the greater diocese, with the rest of the Diocese of Edmonton and the Anglican Church of Canada. There's so much wonder that can be shared in such great resources. And we don't always have to simply be on the receiving end. Maybe there are things that we could offer as well. And the seventh question, what role should our local church play in the communities of Wainwright and Edgerton? Well, don't get me started. We should be collecting for the food bank every week. I mean, every time we go grocery shopping, we do our own weekly shopping, we should be picking things up for the food bank. And Wainwright already has an incredible big, for lofty goals, a big food bank box in the narthex in the corner, just waiting for people to fill it up, that Rob built for the church. And he is undertaking to build a little bit smaller one, but one for the St. Mary's Church in Edgerton as well, that we could fill up there and share with the Edgerton community and spill over into the Wainwright, the Battle River food bank. The food bank is such a simple way that we can reach out to our community. But there are probably lots of other ways that we can do so through studies or community participation, through the fundraisers, of course, but also through different things that maybe we haven't thought about yet, or other ways that we're connected through other ways that we volunteer or we work, that we could interconnect those things with the churches. The Anglican churches, especially here in the MD of Wainwright, um, they have a lot to stand up for. I was out at Points West Living yesterday and having my first Anglican service there, and ran into an Anglican who used to go to Irma, but there's no longer an Anglican church in Irma. And I said to her, in all seriousness, I am the Anglican priest for the MD of Wainwright. I'm not just the Anglican priest for Edgerton, St. Mary's, and St. Thomas and Wainwright. Anyone who's Anglican within the MD of Wainwright should feel comfortable to call me and say, hey, I need a priest. We'd love to see them at one of the two churches, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a priest. It just means they don't have a church. So that's one of the things that I think our local church could play in the Wainwright, Edgerton areas and the whole MD of Wainwright is, how do we reach out and let others know about us? Let them know about the services we have, the opportunities that we have to share with them. It doesn't feel right that they are left on their own because their church has closed, or maybe their community never had a church. They should know that there is an Anglican priest out there, ready, willing, and able to be their priest, but also that there are church communities who are ready, willing, and able to be their communities of faith as well. So I don't know what the answers to these questions are, but that's the point. I need to do some work on what I think my answers are, but I'm asking all of the folks in my wee parish of Wainwright and Edgerton, St. Thomas and St. Mary's, to do the work of answering those questions and then sharing that with me, and then we can discover where we're going. As I said at the service at Points West yesterday, when it was talking about Mary being called, we are all called. We aren't all called to be the mother of Jesus, of course, but we are all called in some way, shape, or form. And it's when we bring those inklings, those gut feelings, those whisperings we hear, when we bring them together in community, that we can get a fuller picture, like putting a puzzle together. If every person brought their puzzle piece in to the MD of Wainwright Anglican Church's table, and we started putting that puzzle together, we might indeed discover what God is calling us to do in the MD of Wainwright. So I think maybe that's part of it right there, this idea that we are not just Anglicans in Wainwright and Edgerton, but we are the Anglicans of the MD. Something to think about, something to pray about, something to consider, and something I'd like you to comment on. If you have ideas or if you have questions, anything at all, please let me know. Feel free to comment on Facebook or on YouTube, or email me at rev.rachelparker@gmail.com. So rev.rachelparker@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you, and I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael for Friday.